Oh hey, here's some instant coffee that I usually take when I go rafting, and I just really felt like living like I was on the river today, so I decided to make it. It's supposed to be 2 servings, but here we are. I made both of them. It's great. All right, let's get into the video. Hello YouTube, long time no see. Look, I'm up in Oregon for a wedding, and I'm trying to figure out how to write again because it's been a hot minute. And I'm really struggling to find my voice, particularly with the prequel to Tracker. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what it means to have a writer's voice. How do you get one? How do you discover your style? And what my voice is, what I think it is. And I'm curious what you guys think some key components of my voice are. And what I'm doing to try and get my groove back. How I can start sounding like myself again instead of sounding like I'm trying to write. Does that make sense? All right, so let's talk about some authors that just have a super distinct voice that you can pick up a book, read one page, and you know exactly who it is. So most people can recognize Tolkien when you pick up one of his books. It's always third person. He uses some strange words, and you could just tell. Another popular one is Gaiman. He has a very whimsical style of writing. I mean, he can be talking about driving down a gravel road and suddenly it's one of the most beautiful, interesting things that's happened to him or you or as the reader. He just has that way of creating this like beautiful landscape with just beautiful prose. And then we have Hemingway. You can probably just look at the page and not have to read anything, and you can just see by the short sentences and the very pointed way that it is written that it's usually Hemingway. Another one is Lemony Snicket, that middle grade author who wrote A Series of Unfortunate Events. The fun narration style where they'll kind of like go off on a rabbit trail to explain the meaning of a word and then they circle back and it works with the plot and all of that. That's very Lemony Snicket style. And once you read one of the books and you see that he uses this method in other books in the series, you can just tell it's him. It's consistent and it's fun and it's unique to just him. Another one that might surprise you and you have to read a little bit more is that Anthony Bourdain. He has just a very raw way of writing. Like it's deep, it cuts fast and hard, and it just kind of makes you sit and pause at the end and just go, oh, okay. All of this to say is writers have a unique way of telling a story that's just so unique to them that other people can kind of start to tell. So a great example in my personal life is some of my critique partners. If Kent Shawn, Victoria Wren, and Hannah Palmer all wrote me a short story about a rabbit, I 100% would be able to tell who wrote what story just by the way that they explain things. Victoria has some really witty dialogue, and she has like a beautiful way of describing the movements of characters. Kent Shawn, action. It's fast-paced, it's deep, it's usually gritty and just very Kent Shawn. If you've read his short story collection, you know. And then Hannah has a very slow style, and she really like brings you into the setting, and she makes you be present before she starts the story, and then you're already in that world and it's so hard to escape. All of them attack this story prompt of rabbit very differently. I'm sure the stories would be wildly different, but it doesn't matter because I know who wrote what just based on the way that they attack the piece. This video is going to be filmed really weird and edited really weird because I'm trying to stop talking when the wind starts blowing really hard, when the dogs start barking, when there's a truck coming by, when my mom's yelling at my brothers. There's a lot of sounds here. So just enjoy this eclectic mix as I talk about voice. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, I was leaving to film in a new location because it was getting loud, and then all of my llama friends came to say hi. So say hi to them all. I will have to show you the whole system I have to prop you up, but basically there's like this little branch jutting out of this oak tree that I'm using. It's a mess. We love it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about voice. Okay, we know who has it, we kind of know what it is, but basically your voice is your whole conglomeration of your sentence structure, your vocab choice, usually the point of view, the way that you decide to attack things. And so how do you get it? Well, that's kind of hard. That's kind of the root of the discussion today. Okay, so how do you get your voice? Two ways primarily. One, read a lot. You're going to naturally pick up the signature style of certain authors. So if you read a lot of Edgar Allan Poe, you're probably going to have a moodier tone. You're going to have a very atmospheric piece. You're going to have almost, what's the word I'm looking for? I'll put it here. Leave it. If you read a lot of Gaiman, you're probably going to have some very whimsical descriptions for things. If you read a lot of Hemingway, you're probably going to have a lot of clip sentences and just very short, powerful, punchy sentences that might border on the line of redundant. But beyond reading, what you have to do, and this is probably the hardest thing, is you just have to write a lot. Because let's say you write a short story in the style that maybe Edgar Allan Poe would write, and it's amazing. But it took you so long because you just don't naturally default to that style. Like, that's not sustainable. That's also cheap and ripping off another author. But the real way to figure out your voice and your style is just to write. And this is probably one of the hardest things because it's going to be a lot of trial and error, seeing if something works and if something doesn't. And so I know Hannah didn't start out writing being like, yes, I'm going to add a lot of description to really force my reader to be in the shoes and in the setting with my characters. I think this was a natural progression for her. It takes time, a lot of practice, a lot of trial and error, which is why I'm struggling now because I haven't written for a while. Between the wedding, because weddings just take over, between traveling, between trying to catch up on work because I was traveling for 2 days, I just haven't had time to really sit and focus and write. I have been outlining, which is great, but that really doesn't keep my voice fresh and my writing skills fresh. So diving back into writing a full book, it's a little intimidating because I'm like, I don't remember what I sound like, and everything that I write sounds like I'm writing. It doesn't sound like I'm telling a story. So what do I need to do to get back into it? And what do I need to do to get my voice back? What is my voice? How do I tell? What do I do? I don't know. That's not true. The only thing I know for sure is I just need to sit and write and do it, and it will get easier every day that I do it. Also, here's the tree branch I've been setting you on. Works great. So the next segue is, what is my voice? And I think I have 2 distinct voices. One for short stories and one for longer pieces. Short stories, I tend to fall into the camp of a slow build, and then right at the end, sometimes that very last line, it's the closer, the gotcha, the aha moment. And honestly, I don't love that I do that because sometimes I feel like it might come across as cliche or cheap, kind of like waiting for the punchline at the end of a long-winded joke. But I've been told by beta readers, friends, reviews, that it works. But it's something that I'm very conscious of being very careful not to make my ending feel like a gotcha, feel like a punchline. Does that make sense? I've come to the realization that I like to set up the scene, I like to build, and then boom, ending. Abrupt endings are my thing. I'm working on playing with some longer endings and creating more rounded out stories, but overall, that's just my style. I like it. Oh, the horse is rolling. Back to it. But my voice for longer winded stuff tends to be a little bit more prose heavy. I like to create a lot of imagery. I like to create some extended metaphors. I use a lot of water when it comes to my stories because water is such a powerful image. It makes people new. It takes away sins. It's deep. It's powerful. It's present all around us. We can't escape it. So I use a lot of that. I use a lot of nature imagery. That just kind of where my mind goes, and it's fun to create those extended metaphors. I also use a lot of personification. I make the river alive and a part of the story. I like to make the trees act more human, and that's just something that I do. So when I write, I don't necessarily be like, oh my goodness, what's my extended metaphor that I'm going to use for the first act? I don't do that. But when I see an opportunity to bring in nature or water or something to mirror what the characters are feeling or doing, I usually take it. I also like literal images of wow, my 2 characters are at this climax of events. Let's have them on a cliff dueling it out or whatever. I also tend with my longer fiction, ironically, to be really blunt and to the point because let's face it, I like short, to the point stories, which is probably why all of my full-length novels have been novellas. We're fixing that eventually. It's fine. I like it. I like what I have going. It's fine.
I got you the purple straw too.
Oh my goodness. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
All of this to say is if you're struggling with sounding like you're actually telling a story versus you're actually just writing words on a page, this is your encouragement to just keep writing. Write your short story, pick your point of view, stick with it, and just go. There's no way that you're going to improve your voice without actually putting in the work. And so, as much as I wish that there was a simple fix on how to discover your voice sooner, it's just time. So, it's not my favorite answer either. It's fine. That just means I need to get back into writing what I love, and I'm starting with a short story because what else do I do? It's just what I do. And I'm going to write, and I'm going to feel more confident with the more I write. And eventually my words that sound weird are eventually going to sound like mine. So thank you for sticking around for this weird little video. I appreciate it. I just wanted to put it out there and encourage you all that if you're feeling like you're just not quite hitting the mark with your words, it's okay. We're all there. It happens to the best of us. Just keep going. Okay, thanks. Bye.